4 treasure chests full of pirate gold doubloons were found here on the Bay Islands on the Gulf of Honduras. At least that's the claim of this man, Mitchell Hedges. And he says he knows because he found them. And what's more, he says he only took 3 of the 4 and one of them is still here. But I'm not sure I believe him. Here's why. And Mitchell Hedges, who was an adventurer and a self-proclaimed archaeologist, some people think that he was the inspiration for Indiana Jones, came here in the 1920s and he went to Roatan. And this was a pirate haven. He says that he was out there with his friend, Dr. Ball, and Dr. Ball had a compass and they were walking along one day on one of the keys and suddenly the compass started to swing wildly. And they deduced that the only thing that could cause that would be a large deposit of metal right underneath them. So they began to dig. And shortly they found a treasure chest full of gold doubloons, and then another, and another, and another. 4 in total, with millions and millions and millions of dollars, even in the 1920s, of gold doubloons. It was getting late in the day, and so they covered it up. And then they went back into town. But in the morning, they heard that the police were coming from Coxon Hole to investigate. Somebody had turned them in. And so they hurriedly went out to the site and dug up 3 of the treasure chests and loaded them onto a sailboat. They couldn't get the 4th one. There wasn't time. The police were on their way. And so they set sail and they headed up north toward Belize and shipped it up to New York City, where he claims that he then sold those gold doubloons for $6 million. And at first blush, I mean, this story kind of makes sense because this is the Gulf of Honduras. And Blackbeard and Captain Morgan and a bunch of other pirates sailed right there. But I don't believe that this story really happened. You see, Mitchell Hedges was also a con man, and he claimed to find amazing things that nobody else has been able to find. For example, he claimed that he found evidence of an ancient civilization here in the Bay Islands that were the lost city of Atlantis, that he found coffins deep inside caves of those lost Atlanteans. Nobody's been able to find anything like that since. And he says he sold $6 million worth of gold, but nobody has receipts. And this was all part of his persona. In New York, he even had a radio show where he would tell stories about how here in Honduras, he was chased by jaguars and by vicious iguanas. They're not so vicious. And he did use that popularity in order to sell artifacts that he did steal from down here in Honduras. But his largest claim to fame was this: the crystal skull, which he claimed to have found in the 1920s. It was kept by his daughter until she died in 2007. Turns out that he had actually purchased it from Sotheby's for 400 pounds. And when they looked at it under a microscope, it was definitely made by modern tools. I don't think that he ever found treasure chests full of gold, but it is kind of nice to dream about.